Hi, I'm Daniel Roberts, and you are listening to the Giving Town podcast, where we share stories of hope and generosity in our wonderful community of Newberg, Oregon, and the surrounding area. In today's episode, I'm talking to Lisa and Sarah with Loads of Hope, which is a ministry in Newberg that helps families with their laundry needs, which is a more significant need than you might realize, as you'll hear in the episode. This podcast is sponsored by my real estate team, the Joyful Roberts Group, and we're a family real estate team with Premier Property Group, LLC. I make this podcast because I love this town and I love highlighting the great people and organizations of this community. But I also have a YouTube channel that educates people on the more real estate related aspects of living in Newberg. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check out our YouTube channel, which is linked in the description below. And with that, let's get on to our conversation today. Well, hey everyone, I'm here with Lisa and Sarah with Loads of Hope. And Loads of Hope is a local nonprofit here in Newberg, and they help people with doing their washing and drying laundry services. So today we're going to be talking about how it got started, what it does, why it's important for our community, and yeah, we can go ahead and get started. So thank you guys for joining me today. I'm excited to learn more about this. I've learned a little bit about it from my volunteering time with Love Inc., but now we get to hear the full story.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So can you share just a little bit, and actually maybe if you both kind of share your roles as far as, who does what and kind of who will be the talking figurehead today, because I know you're both kind of here representing what you guys do.
I'll start. My name is Lisa Tholey, and I started this outreach in 2017 with my friend Julie Broshak, who doesn't live in the area anymore. Mm-hmm. And I first heard about a laundry type ministry when I was doing some work in Milwaukee, and I'd go to this cafe and they always had this flyer up, and I started researching it. I thought it was such a great idea because you hear a lot about food outreach and utilities help, and all of that's super important. But you don't hear much about or anything about laundry. And it's a real need for people who are struggling financially. So we just decided to kind of show up at the laundromat with some quarters and see what happened. Okay. So, and then Sarah got roped in shortly, not very long after we got going. So, yeah.
We met through, our kids went to school together, so we met that way, and then I kind of learned about what she was doing, and I found an opportunity that I wanted to help with. So.
Yeah. So what about laundry do you feel like drew you both in?
I think for me personally, I felt like it was something that I could make a very small difference easily. Yeah. Does that make sense? You didn't have to have like some special skills and run some food bank or a big nonprofit or something like that. But I could show up at the laundromat once a month with some soap and quarters and maybe make somebody's day, or, I didn't know when we started if it was going to matter or make a difference to anybody, but felt like it was something that I could do. Maybe it was attainable in a way. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah. What about you, Sarah?
Well, and I think, before helping out, before getting involved, I guess laundry wasn't even something that I had really thought about. It was like, I'd never been to a laundromat, or I didn't know anything about it. But then listening to Lisa and Julie and what they were doing, I was like, that makes sense. Like, that's a huge deal. I can't imagine not having clean laundry or, just a clean bed to lay in or...
Yeah, so, and I feel like it's something that many people who have an apartment or a home would have laundry there. You kind of have an idea, or you kind of just like take it for granted. Like it's just something that you can do. You push it in, put in your soap, whatever, come back later. But for people who, we at one point had our washer machine break, so we were going to the laundromat, and it's a big deal, especially if you don't have a lot of resources. I imagine that could be a really stressful thing. So kind of share about that. You saw that there was a need, and many people saw that there was a need, but you actually decided to do something about it. And why do you think that is?
I think that's a good question. Well, to kind of piggyback off what you were just saying, is it is a huge need, because most people who live in low income housing don't have a washer dryer in their house, right? Mm-hmm. And I think having clean clothes and being a kid who goes to school in clean clothes gives a person a lot of dignity. Mm-hmm. You know, I grew up pretty poor financially. I always had clean clothes, but I knew a lot of kids who didn't. And it's really a hard spot for kids, I think, especially. And then adults, I think it's just a human dignity thing to have clean clothes and clean bedding. And we hear that time and time again. Like, you don't know what a difference it makes to get into bed at night and have your sheets be clean, you know? So I don't know exactly why in particular, I think Julie and I both felt like I had moved to Newburgh probably within a year. I had lived in Sherwood before, and it just felt like in Sherwood, I'm sure there is a lot of need there, but it's a lot more just, very middle class, it doesn't have as much of a variation, I would say, in population as far as age, socioeconomic level. It just seems a lot more linear, flat. Yeah. So I moved to Newburgh, and I felt like there was a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of people in the community who are doing amazing, great outreach things. And I think it's very inspiring. And Julie and I both just wanted to do something to make a difference, even if it was really small. Yeah. So it sounds like it started out with, you said, just showing up with some soap and quarters, but it sounds like it's kind of evolved from that. So share that progression of how it started and where it is now. Yeah. Do you want to share, Sarah?
It's totally evolved. Yeah. I think. I mean,
it's kind of funny to look back on some of it. Yeah.
Started just, paying for people's laundry and I mean, really, it is more than that. It's
relationships.
It's connecting with people. It's giving a place where people can be heard, and they like to tell their stories, and you get to hear their stories. So it's really like a community now. I feel like during the pandemic, that kind of took it back down to just laundry because we couldn't offer. Now we offer sack lunches. So people can eat while they're there instead of worrying about, can I get my laundry done and go over to this church and get my dinner?
Yeah, that was a real...
they have to choose between one or the other. So they don't have to make that choice anymore. Yeah. There's usually always kids there, so they're always hungry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We like feeding them too. Mm-hmm. We've partnered with the Newburgh Library. The children's librarians will come out about an hour and a half at a time during our laundry nights, and they'll read to the kids, and they bring books with them, kids' books.
Free, the kids can just take them home.
Yeah, the kids can take them home. Yeah. They read to them, do activities with them, which that's my favorite part because I love the library. But
and it's great. Sarah's right. They bring a lot of teen books, so even moms of teens will go through and take books home for their kids. It's just another touch point for people, another way to show them love. And
when we have the ability to, we'll bring in toiletries too that people have donated, and those are always snatched up right away. Another thing that you don't really think about, like deodorant or razors and
shampoo, conditioner, feminine hygiene products, all of it,
Yeah. And I imagine you guys are kind of also a hub for knowing different services, and they come in, they have a need, and you kind of know, hey, here's some options you might not have known about too.
I think a really lovely thing has been connecting people with loving, because I think some people come in and they're totally familiar and they got it down, but other people come in, they've just moved to Newburgh, or they just don't know, and to be able to send them to Love Inc. with all of the ministries that Love Inc. does. All the Gap ministries are amazing. I never knew someplace like Love Inc. existed. I find it so inspiring that there's so many people doing a lot of little things with no overlap that
Right.
makes one big difference,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that's been really great. That's my personal opinion is being able to connect them back to loving has been huge.
Yeah. And to clarify, the GAP ministries are all of, so there's churches, there's other organizations around, like Loads of Hope,
Yeah.
but there's also many other, whether it's a church or an organization that help provide one aspect of service, whether it's helping pay for utility bills, whether it's helping if someone needs firewood or someone just got into an apartment and they need some new kitchen stuff. There's dozens and dozens.
Yes.
The list goes on. But connecting people there, which is, I know this podcast is not just a plug for loving, but it often sounds like it.
It's kind of the
they're
hub.
connected. It is kind of
they're
like
the
hub.
connectors in Newburgh, I think, of help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for what you guys do, so your main need that you're filling is someone who comes in, they need laundry. Now, which seems like such a small thing, and someone could say, well, what's the big deal with laundry? It's a few bucks, and
it's
why is
actually about $5. It costs about $5 to do a load of laundry that you do at home.
Okay.
So if you think about how many loads of laundry you do at home, you have two kids. Two kids.
Two kids.
Think about how much laundry you do a week, and even like. I was just thinking about this when we were kind of prepping for this. As I was like, I threw in
we do laundry pretty much every day.
And I threw in the other day. I threw in like a couple things because I wanted to wear something or whatever. These people don't have that luxury, right? Like they're in there stuffing it as full as they can get because I think they're. I don't know if you would agree with this, Sarah, but they're supplementing, but they bring their the bulk of it.
Yes.
People bring the bulk of their laundry for the month. And so it's just...
If not all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's once
it's
a month.
It's a month's worth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, which also means that they're probably having to wear some of those things more than once. And then, that'd be so stressful to have once a month where you can do... it's great that it's available, but then so they're bringing their entire month's worth and then they get to go instead of having to pay... if you do laundry every day, $5 times 30, that's $150 a month. So they're able to come and, so it's not, I guess, just a couple of bucks. For them, it's really significant.
Yeah.
And that's, that could be a medication that they need. That could be like a big portion of the money that they have to spend for food or any of those much more needed resources. They don't have to make that decision. We can kind of alleviate at least that portion for them.
Yeah. I think sometimes like in the apartment complexes, the laundry's a little bit less than $5 a load, but there'll be like 2 machines for the whole complex. So
they're always used.
So, and they're not very efficient. They're not very big. There's just all kinds of problems. So I do think some people do some of their laundry in another way, but we get incredible amounts of laundry come in. Yeah.
Or, there are some people who do have like a washer and dryer in their apartment, but they don't want to have that go towards their electricity bill, make their electricity bill higher.
Yeah, we've had retired people on very, very fixed incomes that come in and say like before we started this, they'd have literally like $1.25 at the end of the month. That's what skinny of margins they're living on.
Mm-hmm.
And then to be able to do $30 of their laundry or whatever gives them another bag of groceries or something, So, I don't think that when Julie and I decided to start it that we had any idea that there would be a way to kind of make a difference in somebody's monthly overhead. I think we just thought it might help a little. So,
Yeah. So what does the typical interaction look like? So you've got people come in. Is there, I'm sure it's not typical because everyone's got a different story, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe one that was kind of impactful for you that you saw like, wow, this is really what we started this for.
I'll start, but I'm sure Sarah is so great with relationships and listening to people's story. But she doesn't come anymore. But she came and she was a single mom. I don't think her situation was really great where she was living. And she got involved in Love Inc.'s relational ministry program, which I don't think it's really our credit, but we did connect her there. And then Love Inc. did a great job of actually bringing her into their relational ministry, which if you don't know what that is, that is like helping people learn money management and how to get out of debt and how to move on. And she ended up through the process getting her own apartment. She doesn't come anymore because I don't think she needs us. And I think it's just a lovely, like, I think when Julie and I started and we found out about Love Inc., that was like kind of a hope. And that doesn't happen all the time. But I think that's if I had to pick a story, I think that's really just a touchstone for me. And then I think the retired lady that I was talking about, I think just knowing that it made a difference in her life every month was really, and we got to know her more.
Yes.
We took her fans, and when it was really hot in the summer, and we just kind of loved on her. So, yeah. Go ahead, Sarah. I know you have great stories.
Yeah,
so.
I just, I think there are lots of families, but, we always have regulars, right, that we get to know. And we've had a few families that were regulars for like a year or two. And then one family that I'm thinking of in particular, just, each month you kind of see them struggling, or you hear their stories about what happened within the last month. And you're just always, praying and hoping that, next month will be better for them. And it's bittersweet when they stop coming and you've heard why, because they have succeeded and they've gotten better jobs and they don't need us anymore.
Yeah.
It's always a really bittersweet, I'm really going to miss seeing them. But then you're also so happy for them that they don't have to use our services anymore.
Yeah.
So I just think about that mostly.
Yeah.
How many people?
But we love to see our regulars too.
Yeah.
How many people do you find, on average, typically come every month?
Well, I would say before the pandemic, it used to be 25 families?
Yeah. I think we had 25 to 30 households on a regular basis. Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and it was just a really weird 2 years for nonprofits all around.
Yeah.
During COVID, it slowed way down. And then it's starting to pick up more now, which makes us happy. But the other thing, there's no real consistency to it.
Yeah.
So 1 month will come and it'll be totally crazy, and we'll have a lot of families and a lot of people. And then the next month, it'll be slow.
Interesting. Yeah.
There's no you never know what's going on in people's lives, but and because of our partnership with Love Inc., we'll get a list ahead of time of people who've called and signed up. So we'll have kind of an idea, and I feel like maybe now we'll get 12 to 15 families.
Yeah. Right after the pandemic, I would say some months it was 5 to 8.
Yes.
So we've definitely doubled.
Yeah.
And I think as the economy continues to do whatever it's going to do, I think our numbers will continue to go back to where they were.
Now, when you're doing this, do you find that there's people who come in not even knowing that you're there and hey, what's going on here?
Definitely.
So what does that look like?
I kind of find it...
You go ahead, Sarah.
I kind of find it exciting. I just feel like it's just meant to be. Obviously, it's something that we hadn't planned or they had planned, something from higher up.
Yeah.
That they were just placed there, and we were placed there at the right time.
Yeah.
You got to bless somebody.
They'll walk in, and
what a
usually when
treat.
people walk in, they're like, hey, you're here for laundry night, community laundry night, and, if they've never been there, they've been like, no? What is that?
Yeah.
And so we'll just tell them about who we are, and, we'll get your laundry tonight, and give them a little information card, and, call Love Inc. get set up and just give them a call every month before laundry night and let them know you want to be on the laundry list. And that's as simple as it is.
Yeah, I imagine that feels pretty good to feel like you're going to have to pay some of your last dollars and then to have it covered.
Yeah. And some people come in and they don't actually let us pay for their laundry,
okay.
but I think it's really, like, I think they even like to hear about it, you know, about somebody doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, some people will come in and say, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
That's great what you guys are doing, and will give us like a donation.
Yeah, some people have given us donations before.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as like the timing of it, because I know right now it's once a month, and for some people that can be, you know, kind of challenging if they've got like their entire month's worth of, you know, for us that would be like really crazy. So do you think it'll probably stick with being once a month, or do you ever see it going to like twice a month?
I guess it depends on
Yeah.
like how big we got, or how many volunteers we had.
It would probably be to volunteer dependent. There is a gentleman from, I think he's from North Point. Is that the name of the church? Doing one in the downtown laundromat.
Okay.
Which is great. I think it's a great location. I think it hits a different demographic. He's really close to 2nd Street. And I think Sarah and I think if we had enough people, we would figure out how to do another night.
Yeah.
But right now it's just 3 of us who are running it. So
Yeah.
And we're all moms.
Yeah.
And
Well, this is
have
something,
jobs.
This is something that I, just from kind of my own personal standpoint, when something that's once a month, for some people, you know, that works and that's great. But then some people feel like, okay, I have to figure out another solution. So they get in their habit of just doing something. Whereas if I wonder if you put it out there and said, hey, we're looking for, so maybe anyone listening to this, hey, if you have a passion for helping people with their laundry, can people reach out to you? Is there a place where people can reach out and find more information?
Yes, absolutely. Go
How
ahead.
do they do that?
Yeah, we have a website, loadsofhopenewburgh.org.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook, Loads of Hope
Newburgh.
Newburgh.
Yeah.
Instagram, Loads of Hope.
Okay. So what's the best way for someone to contact you?
Probably either through our website, or we also have a Gmail.
Okay.
Loads of Hope Newburgh at gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there were people who wanted to reach out and help volunteer and potentially get that, because if, you know, this is maybe very ambitious, but if it could be once a week at the point where people could say, hey, this is a reliable thing, I can bring my weekly load, which is much more manageable than a monthly load.
Yeah.
And now I know there's always the balance, like we talk about, compassionate, redemptive compassion or something like that with Love Inc. We use those terms.
Yeah.
You don't want to create complete dependency, but at the same time, when people are in a tough spot, ways that can help. So anyway, obviously this is not to put more pressure on you guys to say,
not at all.
But if there was a need to say, hey, we need volunteers so that we can do this, to kind of cast that vision.
Yeah.
And then people who can rely on that on a weekly basis could.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of my thought. I know we didn't talk about that ahead of time, but
no, I think it would be great. I think Sarah's right. Like, we're all women with jobs and children and families. And so it's rather, it's really just such a wonderful privilege to actually get people to invite you into their story.
Yeah.
But it can be really exhausting too. Like, I go home that night and
it's a lot.
kind of toast. I don't know about Sarah. I think it's because you see people who are really good souls who are trying to figure out a way out of just all kinds of tough situations.
Yeah.
And there's not really a clear path, right? It's not like you can just, like, my daughter's 15. When she comes to me with something, we can kind of problem solve and figure out, we can't fix every problem, but we're in a pretty fortunate situation and we can kind of fix it. And when you can't help people, it's exhausting when you don't really see a way for them. And so I think for me, thinking about doing it every week, I would probably be like a complete wreck. But I think if we could find other people who could step in and help, I think it would be wonderful. I think it's also been a real growth opportunity for me as a person to be able to because we can't do everyone's tons of laundry that some people bring in. And so to lovingly be able to say what we can do, it has been a real opportunity for me to grow personally. I don't know how you feel about that, Sarah. It's not like I want to put limits on people, but that's always also been a challenge for me to step out and have to find a loving way to say what we can do and what we can't do. So
that's hard for me.
How much laundry can someone do when they come in?
Right now, because during the pandemic we received, Rock Point Church gave us a super generous donation. We're their Gap ministry, and then another private individual gave us a really super generous donation that we right now we're doing whatever people bring in. Okay. Basically. But in the past, we have had to limit it just because of budget. And it's kind of hard to say. We were trying to reflect because it's been so long with the pandemic of what we did. But I think like a household could get most of their laundry done for a week, right, Sarah? Like one of the big 65-pound machines of linens, right? And then a couple
of the
smaller machines. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
And then individuals, like 2 loads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But right now we're not limiting it. I don't know if that's safe to say, but we are letting people know that that may change in the future, just depending on finances. So, yeah. And then we have other monthly donors. I didn't mean to just call out those 2, but because of that extra money that we received during the pandemic, it's allowed us to not have to put limits on people right now.
Yeah.
So
do you guys see in the future, are there any plans for it changing at all, or just kind of like maintaining what you're doing for now and kind of see what happens?
What do you think, Sarah?
It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just feel like it depends on what opportunities get presented to us and what people get presented to us and donors. And I mean, all that stuff plays into it in growth, like more people, more donations, the ability to just increase capacity wise.
We tried to get a youth night going, but we started it like right when the pandemic was hitting, right, Sarah? And I think both of us as being moms have a real heart. And, you've probably heard some of the statistics about Newburgh High. 50% of the kids who go there live below the poverty line. And I just feel like there's kids out there that probably need their laundry done, but we just have had such a struggle in figuring that out, or how that would look, or how to get to the kids. And Sarah's just been relentless in trying to find a way to do that. So we have provided some laundry cards. So the laundromat has cards that we can fill with a certain amount of money. And we've provided those to a couple of the youth organizations in Newburgh. And so it would be nice to, if anybody out there has any brilliant ideas, it would be nice to figure, I could see us growing with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really hard to do outreach for that. But the beautiful thing was it got us connected to other resources in Newburgh, right? So now we have networks and connections with youth outreach, the people at the Catalyst, the resource room at the high school. Those are some of the places that we've been able to give laundry cards to, and some little baggies of laundry soap. So that they've been able to just, if they know of people, or kids come to them like, hey, here's a thing of laundry. You can get done.
I think with the adult ministry, I think the relationship part of it is just a really sweet, valuable thing, but kids are different, right? And they have their own families and their own people who love them. And so, but trying to find a way to support them and still be respectful of their family relationships and stuff, I think it's just a challenge, Yeah. So.
And then you're both wearing the sweatshirts, the Loads of Hope, which I love the name too. So how did the name Loads of Hope get chosen?
My friend Julie actually came up with it. The organization that where I found out about people doing this is called Laundry Love. And I think they just started it someplace in California, and then they don't really do anything except provide like a pamphlet that helps you kind of plan one.
Oh, okay.
But there's an organization in Milwaukee, one that a guy started. He's since passed away, but it grew into all kinds of huge outreach ministry from it. And that's what really inspired me. And we were just bouncing around what it would look like. And Julie came up with that name. So she gets all the credit for that.
Well, this podcast is all about spreading messages of hope. And it's a generosity, stories of generosity and hope in Newberg, Oregon. And one, you guys are both very generous with your time to do this, and many people have been generous with their money. But it's also hope, like, you know, the fact that there's people out there who care and they can come and do the laundry. It's a small thing, maybe for some, but it's also a really huge thing for others. So one of the questions I now ask people who come on the podcast is, with what you're doing and with your involvement in the community, what gives you hope for the future of Newberg?
That's a good question.
It's a really good question.
I don't know. I have a lot of hope, especially with the past few years of goings on in Newberg and just the nation in general, with all the separation and this side and this side and the division. I feel like when we go to Loads of Hope for laundry night, it's one place for me, and I feel like for other people, where we can just like lay all of that down and just connect with each other on a real level. And I guess that gives me hope for then Newberg. And maybe even spreading out, like, to just get more connected and just like love on each other, instead of just because you vote for this person and you vote for that person, or you believe this and you believe that. Like, let's set all that down and just connect and love on each other. Let's just be a community as a whole. And it's a great place for us to connect face to face with people, not just over the internet or.
I think the mothers of Newberg are what give me hope, because I see these single moms who are just struggling to get their kids' laundry done, who are great moms, who love their kids and are fighting for something better for their kids, even though maybe they have no idea how to make that happen, or, you know, what that even looks like. But they are just really inspiring, and it really touches me. The moms who
I agree.
love their kids so much.
Totally agree. Being a single mom, being a dad is hard.
Being a parent,
Being a parent is hard,
Yeah.
but doing it on your own, I think you're totally right.
And we get the occasional single dad too, and they're amazing, but overwhelmingly it's single moms, and it's...
Dads need to step it up.
Yeah.
All you dads out there, step it up.
Anyway, I think there's some moms out there who maybe just haven't been afforded the education or the just, you know, the safety net in our society of families who can lift them up, or all kinds of things. And I think they're still fighting, and they're still trying to do a great job for their kids. And that's really gives me a lot of hope. So,
well, thank you both so much for coming on today and sharing about what you do and for doing what you do. And you mentioned the ways that people can find out about you online or on social media. So we'll have those links in the description so that people can reach out if they need to. And thank you for everyone for listening for listening to this. If you feel like this is something that you want to be involved with, or if you want to reach out, definitely please do that. And this is a really great service that is provided for the people here. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for having us. It's fun to get to tell the story. Right? Thank you.
Yes, volunteers welcome. And if you know about social media or websites, we're not.
We could use some help with that.
We could use volunteers for that too. Reach out to us.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to the Givingtown podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with a friend who you think might benefit from hearing it. While more and more people are continuing to hear about this podcast, I still need your help to spread the message about all the people and organizations that make Newberg so great. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode.